My name is Memsud Godinjak. It's really not easy, to pronounce, from BMW. And in the next couple of minutes, I will share with you some insights to S-CORE. It's actually, I'm quite new to this, to the SDV community, also to S-CORE. I'm still in the handing over phase of my former job, and I even mentioned that on the outline. My role is still outdated, so it's written something like Digital Strategy China for BMW, which is correct, but it was my former job. But it's also fine because my role, my exact role for SDV or for S-CORE is in definition state. Good. So let's come to the storyline. So I will start with some introduction about S-CORE in general, and also about the current status of the project. And Markus will give you some details of the recently conducted safety audit. So let's start. Sorry, I need to do it. Okay. So good. So actually, I just have 2 slides, but they are packed. So don't worry, you will catch your dinner. Don't worry. So let's start with S-CORE in a nutshell. So what is S-CORE in general? So the goal of S-CORE is provide an open source software platform, code-based, for components with high safety requirements, up to ASIL B. That's the current target, but later on we try to also extend further. And it's also not only the platform. You can see also it's actually everything above the board support package of a chip until the application layer. So the full stack provision, this is the main output, but it's also more than this. So we also have a well-defined process, which will be also introduced by Markus later, but in more detail. We have a developer environment already up and running, and also the whole tooling, which covers the whole V model. To just name a few, I think it's a new project just started. We will extend this with further training, support for the developers, but this is what we already can provide. So talking about the advantages, so why joining S-CORE on a big scale? Usually here people would start to talk about efforts and save costs. So let's forget about this. So I focus on 3 other advantages. The first one is the speed. So if we consider software platform as a commodity, which we just develop once and the whole industry is using it, everybody can gain more speed and also focus on the differentiating part of its own products. So, and also if you do it in a community with a lot and share experiences from different parties, it's also something which can gain speed as well. Next advantage, resilience. So what I mean by this, so just from BMW perspective today, all our product, we are selling almost the same configuration, same software and hardware in all markets. So we are covering more than 100 markets in the world. This is already starting to be more difficult. By the way, we have some adjustments, especially for China, but basically the platform is the same. And this is going to be more and more harder. So due to the tension between US and China, so there's some ban of software regulation and so back and forth. So, but if you see it more clearly, open source is always out of scope. So currently it's not within these regulations. So this could be a key to develop a resilient product which you can really use for each and every market also in the future. And then the last thing, quality. The complexity is getting more and more higher, especially the new functionality like AI, etc. And also the new trends like high integration. So things are getting more complex. And again, with open source standard, with joint contribution by different parties, it's much easier to handle this. Now, another advantage is maybe from the individual level. So what's in directly from OEMs? Speaking from BMW, I just mentioned the complexity. So it's already a trend, but it's going to increase in future that traditional OEMs will cooperate with tech companies. And open source gives you a perfect common ground for corporations. And also, it's also very important to us to reuse existing software platform between different projects, doesn't matter which supplier we have, and also to reuse it for the future platform generations. For tier ones, a software supplier, I think it's a similar approach, similar advantages. So you can develop your product, your hardware, your software once, and you can maybe with minor adjustment sell it or reuse it for other customers. And service providers can provide their services if they are into SCORE to actually each one of the other parties. Yeah. So I know the reality is much more complex, but this would be in a nutshell. Yeah, the content and also the major advantages of S-CORE. Now coming to the status of the project. Yeah, starting with the contribution, I just put here the main contributors so far. So Bosch, ETAS, we have 2 OEMs with BMW and Daimler, Quarix and Accenture. So these are the main contributors, and some of them joined recently, and with also big impact to the results. I have a slide on the next slide. So it's a deep dive. So you can see here the lines of code which are increasing. So the project is quite new. In December, we had only 3,000 lines of code created. Within 2 months, we are now by 10 times more, so more than 300,000. And we are just now starting. Yeah. And also, I think even better news on the right side, it's quite diverse. So it's not like one man show or one woman show. So it's actually very well balanced among the different partners. Yeah. So coming to the next one, the release. So what are we going to do with these contributions? So we have 2 releases planned this year. So first one, I put it in October this year. It might be also possible before the summer break. Second one, which will be certifiable, will be 0.6 end of the year. And the release number 1.0, which can be also used for serial development, we expect to be by the end of next year. I was provided with a short overview about the stack. So you see, this is what our engineers provided to me. So the highlighted yellow parts, these are the ones we are focusing already in release 0.5, and the rest will follow in the future. So back to this slide. I think after listening to all the talks in this morning, I don't need to go deeper into this one. So we have a developer platform in GitHub. It's open. You can have a look on it. Supports develop from all parties. We also have additional tools for collaboration, for instance, the cross-functional teams and also communities to discuss certain topics. Yeah. Tooling, it's Bazel-based. So as I just said, end-to-end supporting the whole V model. And also the virtual development environment based on QEMU is also will be provided from release 0.5, in which you can also execute S-CORE, including all the applications. And we will have support. Yeah, we will have the operating system from QNX, and we will also have the box support package from Qualcomm, but only for non-commercial use. So university across the world can take it and can add on. And last but not least, the communication. Yeah. So if you want to have more details to S-CORE, so you can visit our webpage. I put the link there. It's quite well structured already. It's a lot of text-based, but the focus is still to give new members opportunity to get to know S-CORE and also what are the steps to contribute. And anyway, we will have a complete rework and provide a new version by mid of this year. But I think it's already very good status. And last but not least, yeah, we are still in ongoing discussion with other OEMs, big OEMs, and also tier ones who will probably join. Maybe we can have the chance in one of the next talks to present this, but so far we cannot announce it. And everybody else, we are happy to have new members. So feel free to join. Feel free to have a closer look to the webpage and also contact us if you want to know more information. Yeah. So this is it from my side. And now I will hand over to Markus, who will give you the results of the safety audit from Exida. Markus. Maybe just.
It's working? No? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So I just introduce myself. So I'm community lead currently of the software process community here. And inside S-CORE, we are driving the activities concerning the process development. And now let's see how I can go further. Just a preliminary statement. What I talk today is the current state of our work. It may always matter to change, so I can only give the current state. And maybe you ask, why do these guys develop a software development process? what is our motivation, what is our goal. So we want to develop safety relevant modules like a safety element out of context, but we want not qualify them. But on the other hand, normally we want that our users have less hurdles to use that, also reduce the effort. And one key to do that is our opinion, if we develop our modules already with a process which fulfills the requirements of a safety standard, and we have in addition evidence that is really this development process fulfills that will be done by an external audit, then we have already a big hurdle reduced of the effort of the use of our stack here. In addition, what we also have defined is a clear structure which work products we want to deliver and which verification evidences we want to deliver. That means that also the user has already a clear picture what he get from us and can judge how many effort he needs to put on top on that. What we will not do is, as I said, we will not qualify them. That means we will also provide safety manuals, but we will have no argumentation. And now I try the laser pointer here. Let's work. Okay. That means that is still with a user of our stack, and also he has to take care about the liability. So who are the users of our stack? How think the working model could look like? You see here 4 columns. We have the role of the contributor, the committer, that's us. Then we think there are distributors in the market, there are many, and finally maybe we have a tier 1 OEM. So that can also be directly go from the committer to tier 1. That's not fixed here. But let's say the contributor should provide code, including also safe code. And we require, of course, that he fulfills our process which we have developed. That's why here we, a SafeCore team, we are here in the middle as a committer. We will, of course, take care for the full stack. We integrate it. We also bring it to a reference hardware using also reference OSs. But in addition, maybe that's not usual to open source. We will also responsible to check that the contributors have followed this process and it's from the quality point of view sufficient that we can accept it. And we will also, in addition, and that's why I'm here today, doing audits with external companies, that we get the evidence that our processes are able to fulfill the safety requirements. Then distributor can use that. They can add their own functions. They can even add their own tools. And Memsud already mentioned it. A key of our platform is also that we have a defined set of tools, because the tools we are using here mainly are also used to automate much as we can. That means we will also try to qualify it if it's necessary already. So if you add your tools here and maybe you have done a serious hardware platform, then you take over the responsibility for the liability, as I said, but you will get much as we can for your final safety cases. Finally, tier 1 can choose then from many distributors, can add their own functionalities. They can even stay with the tools. They can even add their own tools, so it's completely freedom. But the final, let's say, so the pointer lets me try to operate it. Assessment to bring the product on the market and for the product safety is with the OEM. So how now looks our process model? If you today look to our webpage, you will hopefully find this is the landing page of our processes. There are also other locations you can look to, but that's the current how it should look like. And what you see here is a traditional overview which processes we want to provide here. I'm not sure you can read it. I just may mention some of the classical ones. For safety is the safety management. You need to manage something in safety. And of course, we have development processes, and it starts normally with requirements. So you need requirements, architectural design, implementation, and verification on that, testing. What means here the yellow color? The yellow color is a kind of maturity level we give already to the public, what the process have achieved at the moment. And the yellow color is also maybe not readable here. It means this is the initial process. It's not compliant yet, but you can start using it. The white color means at the moment it's on the planning on our roadmap. On the right side, you see now a process model we have developed in S-CORE. which we use to develop these processes here on the documentation. Why have we invented that? Because for the process model, we have a common language to interact with all the participants. We can also use that and develop tools so that we can check that we develop everything correctly. Also, traceability is supported here. And it's also like a systematic way we can show how we bring the processes here to life. Maybe let me shortly explain how this is to interpret. You see here this blue color here that maybe represent one of the processes here, maybe safety management. And each process should have activities described. We call it here also workflow. We also define who is responsible for that. So we have clear defined roles in these processes. So one of the roles, for example, will be a safety manager. And we have, let's say these activities have clear work products as output. Maybe other work products are used as input. And you see here also an arrow to another work product and here to a standard. What we do already for you is that we define the processes in a way that we think that they fulfill already the required objectives of the standard we would like to comply with. And on the other hand, in addition, we need to comply with requirements here. That means the activities should be in a way that if you're executing it as a contributor and you as a contributor, the role is here, you are outside, you're just using that if you use our guidelines or the templates, then what you generate should comply with the standard. So, and our process community here, that's the role here, is responsible to define that, and also we're supporting the piloting and the rollout. And we will also later try to establish training materials and also a lot of examples that any contributor want to join us can easily step in this. And you see here also tools. That is another key factor we have. The tools are developed according to requirements, which also come also here from the process model. That means that we really try to automate as much as possible so that nobody has to look for traceability or something just for manually. And exactly this model and this available information was part of the last audit that we had. And yeah, you see here on the right side, we do here team up with Exida. Maybe many of you knew that company already. And we have started it audit. It's not one audit. We do audit like software development in an agile iterative way. We started already last year, but last year we was not really public. So we had we call it incubator project. So I was there from the beginning in this project. And the last audit last week was already done in the public Exida and the S-CORE GitHub version. And what we did in the audit report that is mentioned here, and this audit report, I think we will also publish it soon, just covered at the moment this part of the process, and from the last week is not existing yet, and we will have also more audits in the future. I will show a roadmap later. And you see here that we also did a transfer from our incubator to S-CORE. That means the audit was fully done on this public available information. So what is the result? I just took some major screenshots from the report to show you what the auditors has at the moment. Of course, it's not the final audit report, it's just intermediate result. And let's highlight here what is in the red rectangle here, maybe. So the experts recognize that we are not doing a classical way, but guarded by committers. You saw it also in the working model. That is maybe the difference to other projects, that we have like a guard who checks that the quality and the processes are kept, and that is also supported by tools. That means, and a very simple example, if there's required to have to link a requirement from upper level to a high level and you do not do it, you will not be able to commit. And the second box is saying that is the interim result, what I said also, but they see at the moment no objectives that we will not be able to fulfill the requirements for safety standard. And maybe I didn't mention the safety standard. It's for sure the ISO 26262. And there is no blockers detected so far. I did also not mention we do the audit on 2 implementation languages because S-CORE is targeting not only C++, also Rust in parallel. So we will do it in parallel. That's here more or less a copy from the report to see what I said. I have looked to the safety management, requirements, development, and verification already. And I choose the same color for the maturity level. That means findings. We are working on that. But as I said, no blockers. And we are able to fulfill that. So to sum it up a little bit before I come to the roadmap. So I think we are confident that we have a software development process, including a model developed, where we are able to develop also in the open source environment safety critical software, which is be to qualified later with less effort. We will in the future also not go only with ISO 26262. We will also try already the cybersecurity standard 2144, and also we're looking for ASPICE, let's say, as a quality base for our processes. We think we will reach at the beginning an agile software development scheme here to SLB, and as Memsud said, if this is established somehow with a certain quality, we will look how we can go to SLD. And the major other topic is we try to use only open source software. So there is no proprietary tool. That means, of course, you as a user, distributor, whatever, you may decide you need to use commercial tools. Then it's, of course, on you to decide that. The left picture is more or less another screenshot from our website. This shows the classical V with the identified major work products we have. And if you are familiar with any standard traceability, you see that's more or less the key goal. We drive it on the left side with requirements from the top, that's our stakeholder level, the platform level, over so-called feature architecture, component architecture, down to the implementation detail design. And we try to do it up. And we have also means that we can use external companies by including their assumption of use here. The last, what I have here is the roadmap we are planning. Oh, that's too fast. Oh, let's go back. So we are now here in March. As I said, last week we had our third audit already. And our major steps are here now that we want to have the first complete processes ready at mid of this year. I indicated here some maturity level. That means maturity level management mean more or less the auditors say you are mostly compliance, but maybe not practice yet. Nobody has really used that. And then we need to start pilot projects. And the goal is that we have at least one safety element of context module and our platform, of course, using that everything. And then also we need to do 2 evaluation qualification. And the goal is at least to have at the end of the year, at least one module through all the processes. And we get also a next maturity level, which normally is called practice there. And then we will try to innovate, of course, in the next year. That's at the moment the outlook. And as you see, it's a very challenging roadmap. So I'm also happy if somebody would raise the hand to contribute to the process world here, which is really running in parallel with the development. And it is also a challenge. That's all from my side. Any questions to us?
Thank you for the presentation. I would be interested in understanding a little bit more from the previous slide. You mentioned that some tools, some commercial tools might be still needed for the final qualification. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Depends then on, for example, qualified compiler may be needed if you go to certain hardware or something like that. So, but our goal is to have, let's say, if you start with S-CORE, you should not be in a situation that you need first to install tool by tool. that will be managed by us completely in the Basel framework. We just run Basel run or even document, and you get all the tools automatically. That's our goal, and we'll also provide MISRA checkers. We're working on that and so on. But as I said, at the moment, SLB, and maybe in your company processes, you have higher, let's say, requests to fulfill that maybe then you need then to add additional tools. And SLD at the moment is not the first target, so that may be also then needed if you go higher. But that we will look in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Just one remark. I'm with K, not with C. So if you don't find me on the internet.
So I would have a number of questions, but okay.
On one of the initial slides, this looked like an overview of the scope of the project, and in the first slide as well was the full stack. And I was wondering, are you really planning to implement all of this from scratch using this process?
It's just, can I go to the first slide? No, as I said, at the moment, the safety relevant modules. You can imagine the SCORE is like a big platform, which has a lot of, we call it modules. Module is for us the highest level component you can provide. You can also provide it as a own repo. And if this is safety relevant, it should follow the process.
But on the first slide.
On the first? Oh, it's okay. Sorry.
Here. So this is from the very lowest part, hypervisors, operating system, containers, up to the app framework.
Our focus for the safety relevant modules is the middleware.
Okay.
Operating system, we team up, so it's not in our context operation. So we have or will provide references on OS, but we will not develop OS or something like that. So our focus is the middleware in the middle, and we have the means that you can combine it to any operation system, for example, QNX.
But within that layer, you are going to implement everything from scratch.
And the middleware?
Yeah.
No, but I did not say it. We have also processes not rolled out yet. We want also that if you have already open source, that we may do then, we say, a classification of your open source. What is the status? How many, let's say, what's the complexity? And maybe what you provide on additional information. I think some people call it provenance, documentation, and so on.
Okay.
And that is based on, I did not mention ISO 8926 at the moment. And based on that, we make a decision if the effort can be, let's say, is it worthwhile or the effort is not too big, then we can bring it to a level that it fits in our environment. And then it's either kept as a black box and we put the requirements on it and so on, or we need at least to go one layer deeper and provide additional information. But if it's too complex and there's nothing there, maybe we'll decide we cannot use it.
Okay. Thank you.
That's also another path, not only own development.
So maybe that, because that's definitely of interest to the community. So as you know, we have a bunch of projects. We have about 30 of them. Some of them are very mature, some of them are not. But as we heard earlier, for instance, Pulpiri wanted to be integrated. So from a community perspective, it is essential to know and actually to have the confirmation from your side that you are looking into defining an integration gate for building blocks that have been developed outside of the S-CORE project, and that anyway are pieces of that puzzle that you showed earlier.
Pieces, yeah.
Exactly, and that because that of course is first of all essential for the community to drive collaboration, and then secondly is because if you want to provide a distribution, you want it to be modular so that anyone can exchange building blocks. Maybe you even want a proprietary one, and then segue on that, and this is my question. In the integration gate that you are working on, if you already are, do you plan on looking at the artifacts? through this integration gate? Because I would assume you will want to do it as tool agnostic as possible, because maybe someone uses their own tool chain or whatnot. So do you already have concept for the integration gate? And if yes, will it be tool agnostic?
We had in our incubator phase already one example we tried out. At the moment, it's not in the focus, but we try to follow, as I said, ISO Pass 8926, which maybe will be integrated in the next safety standard. And there you have a clear thing. You should look more like what is the complexity? That means we just need to define complexity measure, what we can manage. And the second one is really what you bring with you, also in documentation and so on. And it is not finalized yet, but we will start this, I think, if we have the first set of the processes that we can develop ourselves. And from the toolchain point of view, I think this is, and the solution point of view, I think if you look to our contribution page, there's a statement like that. We want not different solution, we want all with the best. That means if you have a better solution, you have to argument that, we would exchange that. But the tool chain itself is the main argument in our processes. That's and
Because
at least
then
for
it's not a process, it's really a methodology.
genau.
It's like the implementation of the
Okay.
process rather than the process itself, correct?
Okay, so maybe there's another point I did not mention so clearly because at the moment it's not the main focus. The model we want to develop is the goal in the future tool agnostic.
Okay.
And if you look to our page, there is another page which is called PMP, which is Platform Management Plan. Yeah? So if you define a safety management process in our model, of course, we're using tool for that. We cannot change that. But if you want to deploy this process, you can just use our model and say, okay, I will do that with another tool and I will do it in my way. Then you just define a safety management plan or whatever, like we also do in S-CORE, how we will do it with our tools. But the process model itself would be agnostic. But the S-CORE, as it's defined now as a concrete project at the moment, stays to the tools.
Okay, so maybe we can talk about defining an integration gate then at a later stage, because if I'm a project and I'm already an established project and I have, I don't know, written my requirements in open fast trace, for instance, but I still do have requirements and traceability. I don't necessarily want to write them in Sphinx neat. I think that's what's in your toolchain. Yeah. So, I mean, that's of course an iterative project and it is looking forward, but that's also something we need to take into account to be, you know, really part of a community and being open for other projects. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I stole your place.
A quick question.
Is Mike still on? Okay. Maybe. So I think it was quite a valid question. So how much of the stack is covered by S-CORE? I think what Markus said is absolutely true. We are focusing on the middleware right now. But I think how far we will go and what will be integrated, what will be implemented at the end by S-CORE, it's a thing still not fixed. And maybe to everybody, because it's a very valid question, yeah, what is actually the scope in detail? There's a town hall meeting, yeah, and next one is on the 31st of March, in which we have Holger, for instance, Holger from our company, and also other experts who were the main designers of S-CORE. So I think this is maybe the good appointment to also raise these questions, yeah, in the next time. Yeah, but I think it's definitely very valid to ask this question, to raise it. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the explanation. Great presentation, quite a lot of details. I just want to know what is in it for the open source contributors and the open source projects, because certifiability is one of the commercial aspects what the open source projects are looking into. And if they put everything here, what do they get out of it?
Will you answer or
You can go ahead.
we go to this picture here? What you would get out of it from functionality point of view, you mean? Or from
Should be the motivation of a contributor who is contributing to S-CORE. why you
okay,
should
I
do
see.
that.
The
It's just the
The
it's just
motivation
get the
is
oration and claps at the end of the
Huh?
day, or they could
like the
see
motivation
something.
is that we want that this stack is used all over the world in each car.
Yes, that's good for the OEM.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you see the contribution? Why should he be motivated on the commercial side, at least to benefit of that?
What's the advantage that everybody develops the software platform on his own, on and on again? So what I think is if we develop the software platform together once, and everybody can use it, this is something which has benefit to everybody, except this is exactly your business model to do this kind of platform development. Yeah.
So I can answer only from the process perspective. My answer would be, if you join here, you can use our processes also for other a project where you and nobody in, if you have a common process which is developed by many parties with all the knowledge, we maybe solve the problem once instead of solving for each company.
It's on a higher level, it looks really good, but for the small open source projects, there are very small players that are putting code there and trying to get something out of it when it gets adoption and some commercial certifiability at the end of the day. For them, it seems to be a killer.
But why is this if you contribute with a very small part, but you're allowed to use the whole product? Why is this a problem? It sounds to me like but this is what I just tell you. So you're contributing with your part, but you can use the whole software platform. So this is the result.
I think that's a very valuable discussion, but we need to move on. And I think that's actually a discussion that's best had in front of some beer. So you had one quick question. And
Yeah, just I wanted to know, like, we have a maturity batch process, and also you have defined a new process for S-CORE. So what kind of efforts are overlapping between each other? And if we want to, say, for example, follow the process, which one we should do that? So in my presentation, I put both, but at least I would like to understand the overlapping efforts between these two processes.
I think my colleague presented it in the Eclipse steering group last time, and maybe you can answer that. I was not there. What you exchange, I think we can also learn from each other.
At the special interest group, I guess. So that was recorded, by the way, so the recording should be available. But in general, the SIG, so the special interest group, is the place where we exchange on safety related processes and methodology. So that's definitely the best place to have this discussion. And as far as I know, I was also not in the call, unfortunately. As far as I know, right now, there is no direct link. I mean, of course, the maturity badges are aware of assessing the outcomes, so the artifacts. And I think that's a very good segue to our next presentation that has a very strict link with the maturity badges and the trustable software framework. And we can take this discussion up later. So thanks a lot for your presentation. Thank you.